CNBC-TV18's Global Leadership Summit has kicked off. Joining me right now is the US Consul General in Mumbai. Consul General, thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to begin by asking you about the CNBC-TV18 story. You've been a journalist yourself. Now, when I ask you about India's growth story, how do you see CNBC-TV18 being a part of that journey in India?
India's growth story is amazing. I've been coming back and forth here to India for 30 years since I first came here in high school, and I've worked here over the decades. And it's so great to watch this media landscape be part of that growth story, whether it's connected between U.S. and Indian media on the digital, the print, the social media side. It's part of what makes this a vibrant economy. And watching the media as it develops is a good way to see how India is growing in influence around the world. And we're happy to be part of that story from the U.S. side.
All right. Now, let me begin by straight away asking you about the elections in the United States. It's been a Trump victory, a Republican victory, and a decisive one at that. It's the mandate that people have given. How do you think the relationship with India is going to pan out in the days to come, irrespective of who is there in the White House? Is there anything in the relationship that is going to change dramatically?
Look, as you say, irrespective of who's in the White House, this relationship right now, it's never been better, and that's on a trajectory, a trend that's been taking place over the last 2 decades, irrespective of who's in the White House. You go back and you take a look at the 2007 Civil Nuclear Agreement and the George W. Bush administration, and then through successive administrations right up until now. The people-to-people relationships have been getting tighter. The government connections at all levels have been getting tighter. The research partnerships, the university partnerships, the flow of people, goods, and trade has only been increasing. And that's what we're going to be focused on, is continuing to improve and deepen that relationship.
Right. The mini trade deal. In the last year of the Trump presidency, US and India were close to signing a mini trade deal, but somewhere it fell off the table, possibly because of elections in the US. Do you think there is a possibility of a trade deal now between India and the US and both sides coming together to discuss one?
So I'm going to let the new administration talk about its own policies and programs as it comes in on January 20th. But let's take a look at trade. Since 2001, trade has increased more than tenfold, up to almost $200 billion now, and that's across various sectors. We've seen a deepening of trade as we've seen deepening of cooperation across the Indo-Pacific region. Here, as you look at things like the Prime Minister's the India, Middle East, Europe corridor, the IMEC initiative, ways that we can collaborate as 2 partner countries with the same goals. We're both looking for a free, prosperous, and open world, and trade's going to be part of that. We're happy to be collaborating with India to grow in areas around the world where we share goals.
Right. There are some crucial deals between the 2 countries. You mentioned IMEC corridor. That is a greater deal with Europe, America, and Middle East nations. But ISET, for example, and the defense partnerships that we've signed recently, the drone deal, for example, then you've got the GE 414 engine deal that is for joint manufacturing. Is there going to be any change, any chance that those deals could be reviewed constitutionally by the new administration?
Well, again, like I was saying, the new administration is going to make its own policies come January 20th. But take a look at what we've got. Over the previous decade, in 2016, India was determined to be a major defense partner of the United States. Today, the #1 partner for military exercises with India is the United States. When you look at like-minded countries, India, the U.S., Israel, South Korea, France, this is where the bulk of that defense trade is happening. And that's been powered by things like the Indus X arrangement, which connects the startup ecosystems in both countries to advance new technologies in the defense world. That's where I think there's a lot of excitement. When I'm right here in Western India, I take a look in Ahmedabad, a great new startup out of Ahmedabad that's working together with this Indus X funding between India and the U.S. to improve satellite-based maritime domain awareness so that both of our countries can have a better idea on the commercial, the military, and strategic movements in the sea space, the maritime space.
My final 2 questions. When it comes to addressing the Chinese coercion, both economically and territorially, there is continuity that we saw during the Biden administration with what happened during the Trump administration, so to say. Do you feel that the approach to supporting India as an ally, as a strong manufacturing destination in the Indo-Pacific, that push is going to continue even during the Trump presidency? Because the goal of containing China's territorial and economic ambitions remains on the table?
So I think definitely that the members of the Trump administration coming in on January 20th are going to be able to set this policy best and be able to explain it best where they're going. But let's take a look at some of the lessons that we've learned since the pandemic started in 2020. And I think one of the fundamental ones of those is all of our countries are more strong and more resilient when we have a range of supply chains set up for the things that power the world, the devices that are the brains of the world, the medicines that we need to keep us safe and healthy in this world. So I think that diversification of supply chains is going to be the trend of the world, and India can be part of that. That's where we're looking right now, and I think that storyline is going to continue. Let's see what we can do across like-minded nations to build diverse, strong supply chains for those things that we need in the modern world.
Right. And finally, when it comes to any one concern or one hope that you have from the Indian side as to bringing down barriers to open up more for the United States?
You know what we're looking at right now, and I think next week we're going to see some very positive statistics on education and the number of students headed to the United States from India. It's been growing every year. The new report on this most recent year is going to come out on Monday, and I'm very confident there's going to be some positive numbers and stories to tell about India.
Any uptick in percentage terms that you could leave us with?
I think we can expect to see an uptick. Exactly how much is going to be released on Monday. And what we're going to look at is how can we keep that storyline going while we're also looking to bring universities, students, researchers, and professors out this way to India. That would be our ambition for the coming years.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike, for joining us on the program, and welcome to the Global Leadership Summit. I hope you have an entertaining and fruitful day here.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Let me take you inside, Mike.